So, good morning, everyone, and welcome to yet another version of Saturday morning sessions or SMS as we fondly call them. So, I was discussing this with one of our Central Council members, and he was saying that it's a wonderful idea and the best part is that even many people start these initiatives, but then they don't continue. So, the very fact that you're continuing with it shows the dedication and the devotion of the entire group members. So, I was with him last Saturday when we were having this SMS. Actually, I had gone to receive him. So I think that's kind of a fact that, just because of your dedication and devotion, we are continuing with this particular initiative that was the brainchild of the members that who had shared that why don't we have 1 hour sessions every week just to brush up our knowledge. So as we all know that we have been receiving some show cause notices or in particular in the state of West Bengal, we have been receiving some letters also. And what are the letters? They are saying that under Rule 5618, which says about maintenance of books, under Rule 5618, please give us all the relevant documents, agreements, confirmation from your clients regarding all the credit notes being issued by you, wherein you have taken the benefit of GST. So, say I've given a trade incentive based on the turnover that is there. So, I am being told that what is the proof that the agreement was entered into, for allowing this particular discount to the distributor or to the wholesaler, whatever the scenario may be. And so here, what is coming in handy for many of us is the kind of trade scheme papers that we have. So this is something we have been advocating from in the beginning, that let us have everything in writing. Though in the last session only we had discussed as to how, as per the Contract Act, the agreements can be either oral or written, which we are also fighting in terms of the pure agency contracts. So, but beyond this, the second limb of the section 15(3)(b), that kind of creates a challenge wherein, or read with section 34, creates a challenge when they say that you will get the benefit of, you can issue a credit note only if the recipient reverses his ITC. So now two questions are coming in. First is, how will I ensure whether the recipient is actually reversing the credit? Okay. So how do I ensure? So is it possible for the supplier to take, confirmation from so many recipients across? In one of my FMCG clients, they have about 300, distributors, local distributors. So is it actually possible to take confirmation from 300 distributors saying that I have issued you this credit notes against these invoices? So give me a confirmation that you have reversed it. And in many cases, though we are getting it, in some of the cases, the distributors are just saying that why should we give all this? And another interesting challenge that we are of late facing is in case of B2C. B2B, we can still understand that there is a challenge. Then what happens in case of B2C? There is no question of unjust enrichment. Okay, because the person had not availed the credit. So if the person has not availed the credit, where is the question of reversal of the credit coming into question? So RPG has actually taken some of the areas that he's going to discuss. So as we all know, I'll just check whether RPG, have you joined? Once you join, please do let me know. So he has actually taken in some of the scenarios, as in first is the reimbursement of expenses, again a challenge nowadays. Why is it a challenge nowadays? Because primarily what was happening previously, for say the distributor meet expenses, okay, or maybe I'm taking them on a foreign tour, or maybe the person is engaging in a in shop, some kind of event for me. So you enter a TV shop and you get an experience of a 3D TV or one of the smart TVs, and there are 6 to 7 salespeople there who are explaining you the features, who are helping you to play a game on TV and things like that. So the entire expense I'm reimbursing to the wholesaler. So till now, what was happening for these reimbursements also, we were issuing the credit note citing that agreement, wherein we used to have an entered into an agreement saying that in your shop you have to do this in shop display, in shop events, and for all these in shop events, whatever expenses you're going to incur, we'll allow that as a discount to you, additional discount to you. But now, after the advent of Section 194R in the income tax, now that has become a challenge. Okay. Why? Because since we are deducting the TDS in this case, because 194R says, the preamble itself says, it doesn't matter whether it's an income or not. as long as the payment is being made in the form of some benefit to the person, so the deduction of TDS has to be made. So since this is some in-shop event that was carried inside the shop of the retailer, inside the shop of the retailer, and the benefit is accruing to him because his turnover is increasing, his sales are increasing. What is happening for me? My brand image is getting a push. My brand recall is increasing. People are having top of the mind, when they enter the shop and they see the TV event, maybe my TV will be on top of the mind. But ultimately, he's getting the benefit. So now, with the advent of 194R, many of the distributors are saying we will not allow you to issue the credit note in its place, because when you are issuing the credit note, the department is alleging that this is an income for me, okay, because I'm getting a reimbursement of the thing. And why is it an income? Because I'm deducting TDS. Because in some cases, the GST department is not agreeing to accept the fact that the TDS deduction has no connection with the income. So considering all these facts, yeah. So considering all these facts, some of the wholesalers, the manufacturers, they are shifting from credit note to invoicing. Next is, as I just shared, activity-based incentives are also common. Just now, what I've shared, some part of it, when I'm taking them for a foreign expense or for a event meet, it's a reimbursement expense. But when I'm carrying out this activity, it's activity-based incentive. So, and there is also a price drop offered to sell goods at a reduced price. So my price was 10,000. After price has gone to 9,000, and the price I'm asking the retailer to go for 9,000 and sell it. So, and also buy one, get one, we all know. So Arpit, thank you for joining in. And I was just stepping in for you because I thought you maybe got stuck somewhere. So thank you so much for joining in. And I'm really happy to share, Arpit, that many of our friends have joined in from across India, which is the best part of our faculty group, that we get insights from across India from all the perspectives, which help us, as Arpit had said in the last session, through our collective wisdom, collective federalism, say the word collective wisdom, we are getting a lot of insights and using them in our practice. So, Arpit, over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll just make you the co-host 1 second. I'll just stop there.
Thank you, Ruchi, and in absence of
Yeah, I'll just make you the co-host 1 second. Yes, Arpit, done. एक बार check कीजिए. Arpit,
yes, just checking.
yes, sorry. Take.
So thank you, Ruchi, and starting with today's session, we are already late by 10 minutes. So starting
I've
with
given the platform. I've given the platform. So you can
okay.
start from there. And Arpit, your
Okay.
screen is not visible yet. I mean to say the presentation.
Presentation is not visible.
To me, at least, it's not visible. Yeah.
Just wait a minute.
Should I share? Or?
Sharing.
That's
Now is it visible?
Yeah, now it's visible. But I think you have a low
Okay.
bandwidth, so आपको video off रखना पड़ेगा.
I have switched off my video.
Yeah, okay, now it's perfect. Tell you over to you.
So thank you, Ruchi. And starting from where we left off in the previous session. So friends, we have the previous session discussed about some of that amount is reimbursed back from the supplier to the purchaser in the form of discount. So what was the understanding of the courts in the pre-GST regime and how they had interpreted such discount, whether it is allowable as a deduction from the sale price from the purview of the from the point of view of the seller? That we have all discussed. But be discussing another aspect which is coming from section 15 to E, and then we will be moving on to various situations which are given which we are facing in day-to-day scenario that across the participants. So together we can conclude a view. Section 15 to E, which is one of the most contentious provision which provide that the value of supply shall include subsidies directly linked to the price, excluding subsidies provided by the central government and state government. So what is coming from the department is that supposedly a seller, Tata Motors Limited has asked its dealers to sell the goods at a reduced price, and then they would be reimbursing some part of that to them, whether that would be treated as some scenario in the various situations. But before going on to the 15(2)(e) and various situations, one aspect which commonly come across, that can recipient be asked to reverse the ITC on the discounts received. So I have purchased the goods on 100 rupees. I receive a discount from my seller of 10 rupees. My effective cost is 90 rupees. I sell it at 95 rupees. Can I be asked to reverse the ITC on balance 5 rupees? To my understanding, there is no specific provision for reversal of ITC unless until the supplier issues me a credit note wherein tax has been separately charged. So if he has issued me a financial credit note, as a recipient, I cannot be asked to reverse the ITC on the discount part received. Now, one circular number 105, 28 June 2019, which we all know, a specific part of that has caused a lot of hue and cry, and so that was the basic reason for the circular being withdrawn in the GST Council meeting held in September 2019. I have highlighted the specific aspect of that circular, which were forming a contentious provision. Now, in para 3 of that circular, what was said that it is clarified that if the post-sale discount is given by the supplier of the goods to the dealer without any further obligation or action required at the dealer's end. Now, this specific terminology which was used in para 3, without any further obligation or action required at the dealer's end. What was the scope of this terminology? This was specifically highlighted by the business community to the GST Council. They specifically asked that supposedly our supplier has given it a retail incentive. Can it be covered as a further obligation or action required at dealer's end? And then whether it would be treated as a separate supply being made by us to our principal dealer. तो ये जो without any further obligation or action required at dealer's end जो ये terminology use करी थी, this was a specific bone of contention for circular number 105. When the circular moves on and then the post-sale discount given by the said supplier will be related to the original supply and it would not be included in the value of supply. So if the discount is without any further obligation or action required at dealer's end, then only it would be falling within the aspect of section 15(3). This was clarified by the circular. And then the circular further moved on to say that, however, if the additional discount given by the supplier of goods to dealer is post-sale incentive requiring the dealer to do some act like undertaking special sales drive, advertisement campaign or exhibition, etc., then such transaction would be treated as separate transaction. तो पहले वाले में उन्होंने बोला कि there should not be any further obligation or action required at the dealer's end. Then in the next part of the circular, they said that the scope of further obligation or action required at the dealer's end would be covering special sales drive, advertisement campaign or exhibition. So अब ये जो linkage हुआ, the linkage which happened, that further obligation or action is linked to special sales drive or advertisement campaign or exhibition. The business community asked that what is the meaning of this special sales drive? What is the meaning of this advertisement campaign? Which we have linked with further obligation and action required at dealer's end. Because the department at the ground level would be taking it in the broadest possible aspect. So this was one thing which was discussed in the next GST Council meeting. This is the agenda of the GST Council meeting, and most of us would have gone through this. I have only highlighted the issues raised, the submissions made, and what was the reply of the board on those submissions. It has been represented that undertaking special sales drive, advertisement campaign, exhibition, etc. by the dealer on direction of the supplier is a very wide term and may lead to disputes. So they specifically said in their representation to the board that when you have said that action to be taken at the dealer's end is linked to sales drive and advertisement campaign and exhibition, and these would be treated as separate supplies being made by the dealer to the principal. What is the scope of this term? Now in para 4.1, they further highlighted the scope of these terms, the representation which was made, that it has been represented that it is not clear to whether post-sale discount linked only with purchase made by a dealer from supplier would pass the tax expression without further obligation or action required at dealer's end, or even the post-sale discount linked to or contingent upon quantity of actual secondary sales of the dealer to retailer will also be covered by said expression. So it was specifically asked by the representation from the board that only offtake discounts are excluded from the scope of the term without any further obligation or action, or retail incentives are also excluded from this further obligation. This was a specific query by the trade to the board. Now in para 4.2, they further asked the question that what all activities at dealer's end will be construed as separate transaction of service between the dealer and supplier of goods. And that examples of undertaking special sales drive and advertisement campaign are very vague, leading to further ambiguity in the matter. So not only they asked about the offtake target and the retail target, but also what all separate transaction of service would be, what all activities would be construed or covered under the ambit of separate transaction of service between dealer and supplier. Now, one important aspect which they highlighted in the representation was, it has been argued that in sales scenario, enhanced discounts are issued to achieve higher sales turnover, which does benefit both the distributor and manufacturer, and that one can't be service provider and also beneficiary of a service. So it was specifically highlighted, which we discussed in our earlier section also, that if I am a dealer of say Tata Motors and they give me a retail target incentive and I achieve that retail target incentive, can I be said to be beneficiary of my own activity? Because when I am making a sales of my goods, this is an activity which is benefiting me because I am making enhanced sale. So I cannot be said to be a beneficiary of my own service and asked to pay tax on that amount which has been received from Tata Motors, any principal dealer. Was said, what was sought to be clarified in the agenda was, if a post-sale discount in form of credit note is passed on compensating the dealer for undertaking an advertisement campaign, free gifts along with the principal supply, exchange bonus, and the like activities on the directions of the principal supplier. So any activity which is being carried out on the direction of the principal supplier, wherein the dealer may or may not have contributed, the same would be treated as a consideration for promotional activities referred to as business auxiliary service and service tax regime, provided by the dealer to principal supplier and chargeable to tax separately, and the principal supplier would be eligible to ITC for the same. So the most important aspect in the clarification which was sought to be given by the board in this agenda was activities on the directions of the principal supplier. So any advertisement campaign, any free gifts given along with the principal supplier, any exchange bonus given on the directions of the principal supplier was held to be was sought to be clarified in the agenda as a service being given by the dealer to its principal supplier. This is what the agenda was saying. Now further it says the tax treatment of such a discount would remain the same. That is in the second part, they clarified, any discount known at the time of supply but which are linked to volume of supplies in specified period arrived at after supplies have been made aren't covered as a consideration for undertaking sales promotion activities and eligible for tax adjustment under section 15(3)(b). So in the first part, they clarified that any activity undertaken on the direction of the principal would be treated as a separate supply. And those activities which were treated as on being carried out and on the directions of the principal supplier were advertisement campaign, free gifts or exchange bonus. This was only an example. In the second part, they clarified that any quantity discount which is known at the time of supply and which is linked to the volume of supply would be allowed to be excluded from the value of supply under the provision of section 15(3)(b). Further went on to clarify the tax treatment of such a discount would remain the same even if the dealer undertakes a promotional activity to achieve the required sales volume, the same being on his own account and not being on the directions of the principal supplier. So what in this text, what they intended to cover was, supposedly my principal dealer has given me a target that if you sell 100 cars in this month, you would get a you would get an incentive, or what we can say a discount of say 5,000 rupees. Now for achieving that target, I carry out a promotional activity on my own. Now can that promotional activity be linked and said that this promotional activity was done to achieve the target which was given by the supplier, and therefore this should be treated as a this should be treated as a supply being made by the dealer to the principal supplier. This text sought to clarify that supposedly if there is a retail target, and for achieving that retail target, the dealer carries out a promotional activity, that would not be treated that promotional activity was carried out on the directions of the principal. And since that promotional activity would not be treated as being carried out on the directions of the principal, any amount received towards such incentive would be outside the purview of being treated as a separate supply and would be treated as being covered under section 15(3)(b), on which the supplier can issue a credit note to me. But the catch in this was, this clarification was restricted only to any quantity discount known at the time of supply, but quantity discount should be known at the time of supply. What happens to similar discounts which are not known at the time of supply, but which are given as a scheme subsequent to the supply being made, that has not been clarified, that was not sought to be clarified in this agenda. But the principal reason that why I discussed this agenda was that although what was discussed in this agenda only resulted in withdrawal of circular number 105, and the draft circular which was given in this agenda could not see the light of the day, and this matter is still pending with the council, with the law committee to issue a clarification in this regard. And somewhere down the line, it forms a very fragile distinction between what is the discount and what is the supply, and that is why principally we are all here in the second session on discounts and incentives. Now briefly coming to the second aspect and then going on to the case studies. Now let's take the case study and then we will come to this aspect. The first case study. that is about offtake discount. A is allowed a discount of 2% at year end on achievement of offtake target for the year by B. So B has given an offtake discount of 2% at year end to A, and A has achieved that target. So we will all agree that this 2%, since it is linked with the offtake, would not be treated as a separate supply being made by A to B, and B is entitled to issue a credit note under section 15(3)(b), provided the required conditions are satisfied as laid down in section 15. I am not going to section 34 and whether section 15 and section 34 are interlinked, that because we have already discussed that part. So on situation 1, if there are any views to be expressed by the participants, they can share their views, or any practical situation wherein a contrary view has been taken by the revenue.
So Uniji is saying demand is made.
Yes,
That is
Uniji is saying that demand has been made on agreeing to do an act.
But Uniji, is it after 1st February 2019 or before 1st February 2019?
From 17 to till date. First was audit and followed up by range.
Okay. Because after 1st February 2019, going into directly into 5(2)E is difficult, because that's why they have amended the section also, because that revenue was taking that stand because it is there in schedule 2, so it's a part of the supply. But after 1st February 2019, I think that view should not be conquered, at least. Even before 1st February, it should not be conquered, but even having the demand itself. So what is the view of the revenue? Like, why it should be taxable?
They say that the achievement of a target is not just to get a volume discount, but it is going above and beyond a mere quantity discount. That to achieve this, you have done certain things which is predetermined and are not merely something that is a calculation financial credit note. This is a specific condition that you targeted and which you have done by doing various promotional activities, and ultimately it is having a benefit to the manufacturer. This is again for a manufacturer to the dealer point of view. They are saying that this is a service provided to the manufacturers.
So Arpit, I think in this case, Arpit, please, sir.
So when there is no specific direction for carrying out an activity, and if a dealer is carrying out that activity, so in my opinion, you would also be having that same opinion, because the revenue is forming their own opinion. And there is a specific underlying transaction which was entered previously between the manufacturer and the dealer. So in my opinion, this is extreme view which is being stretched to agreeing to do an act.
Because I think the same thing was happening in service tax. In the airline matters, the same thing was being happening, that, even in case of this target discount, they've been told to pay service tax, but later on the high courts have held that, these are not in the nature of discount, these are not in the nature of incentives. So though the term may be used as incentive, but actually it's a discount which is being given for the volume they have achieved. And I think even in income tax, we have Coca-Cola and Daawar India, which says that similar issues are only in the nature of, discount which is agreed upon between the two parties before the sale is happening.
Is there any way in which I can also share my screen?
Yeah, please. You're a co-host. Only you can share screen. Acha, for that, Arpit ji has to stop sharing the screen. Arpit ji,
I will do. No, not just thing. I'll do one thing. I'll cut paste the relevant extract of the orders that I'm getting here in Trivandrum. Almost one order has been decided against, and everybody is now following suit, and every demand is made on more or less the same lines. So this is regarding the quantitative discounts that we got, and our stance was, they said that the infrastructure that we use as a dealer is also benefiting the manufacturer, because of their brand presence is also happening there.
Yeah, see, Uniji, even that is the view that recently Income Tax Department has taken in the case of the matter of one of our clients. Regarding, they're connecting 194R to this trade incentive and they are coming with the same view that you are doing something. That's why it is a benefit to you. Your sales are also increasing. But I think that view will not be sustained because then 15.3b would be, it would not hold any meaning, right? Because, right, Arpitji, because if that becomes a scenario, then what would be the intent of 15.3b basically?
So, for me, if any amount is covered
Yeah,
under discount first, then
I
it
think I
cannot be
shared my
covered
screen. Is it
simultaneously in
possible to see?
consideration.
Yeah, yeah,
Are you
yeah.
able to
We can
see?
see your, yeah, we can see your screen. Yeah.
You have to
Yeah,
magnify it, Unnikrishnan.
yeah.
No,
This is what. This is their basic contention. See, the para 13.6.
okay,
Yes. Yes.
provided logistic and infrastructural support using their sales channel for meeting the targets. Yeah. In the capacity of distributor of the suppliers, branded products or furtherance of business of the suppliers for which they receive the consideration. I think we'll have to go back to the golden days of Dabur India and Coca-Cola beverages. Rajasthan High Court,
Yes, yes.
Delhi High Court. So we have to go back to those days and again explain the difference between an incentive and a discount.
But problem is, the real reason why they are doing this is they are not willing to take a decision unless the council discusses 105 and clarifies a position by issuing a new circular. So they said that you wait for the council and let them issue a circular, and then we'll pass an order in your favor. That is a
Hello.
position taken by the appellate authorities also.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, please.
Sir, when you buy and then sell,
Yes.
still you remain distributor of others' product or seller of your own products?
You are buying and selling.
Buying and selling. This is, we are buying and selling. No? It is not
I'll
commission
remain the
based business.
distributor because essentially I am the distributor of that particular product for a particular region, territory
Yes.
that is given to.
Yes. But until whose property in goods is at the time you sell further.
Yeah, transfer of goods is happening to me if I'm working purely as a distributor and not as a CNF.
Yes.
If I'm working as a consignment agent, the right in the property holds with the principal.
Yes. When you sell, what do you sell? You sell what you own.
Right.
When you sell what you own, then there is nothing to say you are distributing, you are providing distribution services, the trade distribution services, which that SSC code say that is for facilitation of others trade. When I am on these bases also, that 194H cases in income tax were decided, whose goods are these? If these are my goods, then what services are I am giving? The starting point was also when RPG also said, when I am selling my own goods or I am selling others' goods, there is a there is difference between these two. Can I be recipient for the service rendered to myself? That was the point. So now these facts which are given in para 1.3.16, what is the para number? So whether these facts are disputed or this is the real fact, you are doing using your infrastructure for selling other goods or using your infrastructure for selling my own goods. If I sell Uni's brand of refrigerators, I will have to write Uni refrigerators are available here. I am not writing it for Mr. Uni's advertisement. I am giving this signboard because I want to sell Uni's refrigerator that now I own. That goes with Maruti also. That goes with
Any of the brands.
Any of the brand who owns the goods. When you own the goods, now I am owning my goods. And for facilitation services, recipient of services should be different from provider of services. If I am selling my own goods, whom I am giving these distributions, whose goods are distributed? Simple.
Right. I think that's a wonderful point to take, that, I'm not actually selling goods of others, but once I get the property transferred in my names, I'm selling my property. So any other views on this from any of the other group members? as to how
There
you
is
have
a
to be on the
judgment of the
target.
Madras High Court in the case of TVS Motors,
Yeah.
which reiterated the same thing. That is, once the dealer and the manufacturer are on principal to principal basis, and he's selling the goods and then selling again, the question of agreeing to an act should not come in the context of 66E. But again, department uses their own magic to say that the provisions of the 66E and Schedule 5E are different, and
Yeah.
those judgments don't work in GST.
And
See, there
moreover,
was
sir,
one interesting thing which I thought when I was preparing for this today. Supposedly, someone says that if your firm's, supposedly my CA firm, if my CA firm achieves a target of 1 crore rupees, he would give me 2% incentive. So whether I am giving any service to him or this is agreeing to do an act.
you can agree to do, and there is something that you agree to do something, but for whom? But for whom? Because 194H decision, if we say in the income tax era, that were also directed in this direction only. If we, during adjudication, we may ask, sir, whose property in goods is this? When it is undisputed that when I purchased from that person who supplied to me, now these goods are owned by me. Insurance is held by me. Insurable interest is with me. Now what I am doing? I am doing what I am supposed to do as a seller. When I am selling it, you may give it, say it as discount, as commission, that is nomenclature. But whatever I am doing it to distribute the goods of my own or distribute the goods of someone else. These two are different things. Here, HSSAC of distributive trade services does not come into picture. That was my point.
Point taken, sir. Thank you so much. So, if there are any other views, maybe we can go.
So, Arunji, what we have concluded and what we have discussed up till now, that I cannot be said to be providing a service when I am distributing or selling my own goods, which were purchased from the person who is giving me or reimbursing me in the form of, say, discount or incentive or commission, whatever name they can say.
Yes.
Arunji, you can once again make me the host, because I had to exit. There was an issue with internet connection.
Oh, I'll just. One. One second, I'll just make, yeah, 1 second.
You have not made me the host. So let's take the second scenario. Until the second scenario was, in the first scenario we spoke about the offtake target. Now comes the retail target incentive.
You can now share, yeah.
Now comes the retail target, that A is allowed an incentive of 2% at year end on achievement of retail target for the year by B. Now this is one of the most contentious issues which we are facing, and the first principle that we have discussed is that I cannot be said to be providing a service when I am selling my own goods, and even if I am being given the amount from the person from whom I had purchased the goods originally. So whether the same principle would be applicable in situation 2, in my opinion, yes. What are the views of the members?
Sir, what is the difference between cut-off and the first term and retail discount? How these two questions are different?
For situation 1, in that case, I would allowed a discount provided I had purchased the goods from my manufacturer of, say, 1 crore rupees. In the second situation, I am being allowed an incentive provided I have sold goods worth more rupees 1 crore. So the second is retail target incentive and the first is offtake target.
Okay.
Because the reason which Onni Krishnanji had shared in the order, this reason becomes a more prominent reason in situation 2.
But can
Hello?
I think Rajiv sir has been muted. So.
hello,
Sir,
the deduction from the consideration is already provided by the Act under Section 15. In this case also the same law applies, that if it is pre-agreed, then it is for value of supply only.
Supposedly it is given post the supply. I had purchased the goods in say February 2024. Coming Holi in March 2024, a new scheme is launched on retail target incentive that if you sell the card, purchase at any time in the month of March of say 1 crore rupees, you would get a target incentive of 5%. Now it's a post supply scheme which is given for the goods which have been purchased earlier. Now if I achieve a retail target incentive of 1 crore in March, will it be treated as separate supply being provided by me to the manufacturer, or it would be said that 5% is the reimbursement of the earlier amount which was paid by me towards the purchase of such goods?
Sir, does it comply with Section 15 to that allows deduction of pre-agreed discounts? Whether
So it is not a pre-agreed discount. It is a
it is
post
not
supply.
pre-agreed. It is
No,
post
it is a
supply.
post supply activity.
It does not. Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Sir, in Tamil Nadu, they are treating it as an additional consideration. That what you are telling, that the retail target at 2% is there now. So they are treating it as an additional consideration. For example, in the price drop scheme discounts or sellout scheme discounts, when I am selling, after that I am getting a part of the consideration from my manufacturer. The supplier is a principal supplier is compensating me to the extent what I am getting for my retail target achievement as a form of additional consideration from my compensated by my principal supplier is being treated as a additional consideration, and it is being added as to the value of supply for the distributor, and they are issuing notices in that scenario.
Sir, in that case, if we say 231 operates, that additional consideration from a party which is not party to contract, whether it is for contract to contract, or we can say it will be possible for as a whole. If you sell 100 units, I give you this discount. The other question should be, if you sell this product to Mr. Rajiv at rupees 90, I will give you rupees 10. Whether these are two situations.
Yeah, that is what sir, that is the department's intention perspective is they are telling that part of the consider. For example, I am selling a TV to 1 lakh rupees to the customer, so I am selling at 90,000 rupees. Balance 10,000 rupees is being compensated by my principal supplier. If it is so the case, 90,000 rupees value of supply, I will be collecting GST from my customer. For the balance 10,000 which is being compensated by my principal supplier, I am liable to pay GST for the applicable rate of the goods. So that is what the contention of the department. It in the larger view, it seems to be good because Section 15 also 15 subsection 1 also ensures that. But how to yes.
Sir, so let's take situation 3 and then discuss about consideration and what is covered under consideration and whether at all what the department is saying for 10,000 in the situation which you had said, and the 2% incentive in what I have provided in situation 2, whether it can be treated as a consideration. So situation 3 is A is a dealer of TML Motors. A is offered a discount of 15,000 rupees to be passed on to his customer, out of which 5,000 is to be borne by A and balance 10,000 will be reimbursed by TML Motors. So the goods are worth 1 lakh rupees. I am asked to give a discount of 15,000 rupees, out of which 10,000 would be reimbursed to me by my principal supplier. Now, the question is that whether that 10,000 rupees which is being received by me from my manufacturer, can it be treated as a separate supply? Now, for being treated as a separate supplier, there are 3 things, out of which one is that there should be a consideration for supply of service. Now, coming to the definition of consideration. The definition of consideration, the word which I have highlighted, is that it should be paid whether by the recipient or by any other person. Now, for
Yes.
that 10,000 rupees, which I am receiving from my manufacturer, so From 1 lakh rupees, I have passed 15,000 rupees. 5,000 is to be borne by me. 10,000 I am receiving from my manufacturer. The question is that that 10,000 rupees which I am receiving from my manufacturer, can my manufacturer be treated as a recipient of that supply of 1 lakh rupees, or would he be treated as any other person? Because only if the 10,000 is being paid either by the recipient or by any other person, then only it would form part of the consideration. So when I sold goods of say 1 lakh rupees, the supply was say to X. The recipient of that supply was X. So it cannot be treated that 10,000 rupees was received from a recipient. Can it be said that that 10,000 rupees which has been paid by my manufacturer to me has been paid by any other person? The specific question was this only, and in the agenda which is part which was discussed on 29 September. This is the specific agenda and the discussion made in the agenda.
Sir, hello.
Yes, sir.
Hello. Sir,
Yes.
here it is not about supply. Supplier can be any other person. When we see it from the point of view of contractor and contractee in a contract, consideration flowing from third person means third person except those two persons in between whom the supply at rupees 90. For example, I sell to you. Now consideration flowing from third person is to be seen from the point of view of a contract only. Supplier can also be a third person. That is my view. Supplier is supplier.
That is precisely being discussed, Rajivji. So in para 5.2 of that agenda, it said the underlying principle of clarification in para 4, because on this specific para there was a clarification in circular number 105 in para 4, appears to be that reimbursement of payment for supplies of goods or services from anyone other than the customer is still part of the consideration for supply to the customer in view of definition of consideration in payment for the inducement of supply by any other person. Now the issue of dispute is whether any other person includes a person in the original supply chain also, that is principal supplier in this example, or does it mean any other person not connected with the supply chain? For example, if a real estate developer issues a voucher to every home buyer, which is redeemable at car dealership for 50,000 discount in value of car, then there is no doubt that a car is being supplied at 5,50,000 only by the customer paying 5 lakh rupees and 50,000 being paid by any other person. So in this case, supposedly a real estate developer says that whoever purchases the flat from me, they would be giving a discount voucher. That discount voucher can be encashed in a car dealership, and the car dealership would be giving you the car at a discount of 50,000 rupees. Now for the car dealership, the real estate developer would be paying 50,000 directly to the car dealership. So in this example, they clarified that the car dealership is receiving 5 lakh from the customer and 50,000 from the real estate developer, and the consideration would be 5,50,000 because the real estate developer is a third party. In this scenario, taxable value shall be 5,50,000. However, when the principal supplier issues a credit note to the dealer, such a supplier is in effect reducing the value of supply received by the dealer, though without any tax adjustment in view of restriction in 15(3)(b). It appears that a clarification dated 28 June 19 deeming such a discount also a consideration for final consumption without allowing any tax adjustment for the primary supply needs to be revised. So in case of a real estate developer, car dealer and the flat owner, that 50,000 being paid by the real estate developer to the car owner, car dealer was treated as a consideration because real estate developer was a third party. But in case of a principal to principal transaction that we have taken in our scenario, in situation 3, TML Motors is offering, TML Motors is asking A to goods, supply goods at a discount of 15,000 rupees, out of which 10,000 would be reimbursed by TML Motors to A, and there is a pre-existing supply transaction between A and TML Motors. So applying the principle which was discussed in agenda, since there was a principal to principal transaction and a pre-existing supply, this 10,000 would not be treated as paid by any other person and therefore would be outside the purview of consideration and would be covered under the purview of section 15(3)(b). That is what the agenda had discussed, and that was the primary reason of withdrawal of that circular. So in
Sir,
this hindsight, now how situation 2 and situation 3 is to be discussed, that views can be expressed by the participants, members.
sir, if you
Yes.
elaborate it further from the point of view of Contract Act, what consideration in Contract Act? Normally, we say stranger to a contract can give consideration though he is not party to the contract. If we go by that principle, on which principle this circular was also moving, then third party means third party is not vis-a-vis seller and his supplier. It is vis-a-vis seller, customer, and now any third party. Now third party. A car dealer says, or a seller says, I sell to Uniji a pen for rupees 9. Now rupee 1 can be given to me by any supplier, by my supplier, or any other person. From that point of view, do we think that there should be any difference between these two situations? Because it is qua the contract who is the stranger. Qua the contract, who is the stranger?
But we cannot import definition of consideration from any other statute when it has
No,
been
no.
specifically given in GST Act. And GST Act says that there are only two persons who can pay, recipient and any other person. Now we have to see that why the car dealer is giving, the manufacturer is giving me the discount of reimbursement of 10,000 rupees.
Sir,
He is
we
giving me
can go-
because he has earlier sold me the car and he wants me to sell that car at a reduced price, and since my purchase cost was higher, he is reimbursing me part of that purchase price so that I have a lower purchase price, and then since I have a lower purchase price, I can sell it at a reduced price.
Sir, can you open the screen for definition of consideration?
Here is the
RPG.
definition. Here is the definition of consideration.
Okay.
Can I say something?
Yes, yes.
हाँ आरपीजी मैं ये कह रहा था कि when you are saying that third person cannot be my supplier, okay, so
Cannot pay me a consideration. Cannot pay
हाँ,
me a consideration.
cannot be a consideration because the discount is received from my supplier only. So suppose we take example of when we sell there are mobile service from the Amazon, okay, so mobile is of 50,000 rupees. Amazon says sell it at 45,000 rupees and 5,000 I will be reimbursing to you, to the seller party.
Yes.
Now, is this a consideration
Yes,
then? Am I
yes,
correct?
it is a consideration because in that case, Amazon is not my original supplier.
Sir,
Yes.
Correct.
hello.
Now, what is happening? I suppose what is happening, the sale is done at 45,000 only, and 5,000 again supply is being raised by the seller party to the Amazon.
Yes. Yes.
Means this is a confusion that whether that amount of 5,000 should be part of my original supply of sale of mobile, or whether I need to give a separate supply of services to the Amazon. There is also confusion because if you opt one thing, department will say second thing. Am I correct or wrong?
So,
Yes,
Pawan ji,
yes, yes,
actually, I've been facing such similar so-called notices for some of our distributors here. So previously, we used to do what you told in
yes.
step one. We used to do the invoices 45,000, and later on, Flipkart or Amazon, they used to give us in the monthly settlements. You know, this 5,000 rupees burning. This is known as burning discount in the industry. The term
Yes,
for
yes.
this is burning discount. So this burning discount was being given to us by the e-commerce operator at the end of the month. So we used to
Correct.
basically consider that and as a discount, and you know, we didn't consider as our income and also that was not there. But after you know, some of the investigating agencies, they have started taking actions. They, according to them, the value of the goods is 50,000, right?
50,000.
Transaction value is 50,000. Only thing is that the consideration is coming from two heads. 45,000 is being given by the customer. 5,000 is being given by the e-commerce operator, because that is how the scheme is worded. Even if you have gone through any of the schemes which has been given by this e-commerce operator, you'll see the wording is that the mobile cost, out of the mobile cost, we will bear 5,000, 10% of the mobile cost or whatever, according to their, it differs from, like for $1 billion sale, it is different. For other sale, Diwali sale is different, so like that. So now what we are doing is we are considering at 50,000 only. And we are considering
exactly. So, sir, Arupaji, so my question is that, as said in GST, there are always two interpretations possible. So if we make it as 5,000 rupees addition in my original supply, and I raise an invoice of 50,000 rupees later on, because I also suppose with the same perception that it should be 50,000 rupees, but later on department can then come with other view that 5,000 is a separate supply from the seller to the Amazon. And so a separate 99 code of supply service should be raised to as 18%.
We can divide this situation in two parts.
Yes.
Supposedly, when as a purchaser, I go on Amazon and purchase the product, and Amazon says that the price is 50,000 rupees, out of which you have to pay 45,000 and we will pay 5,000 to the supplier.
Okay.
In that case, I should be asked to pay tax on 50,000 rupees.
Correct.
And I should be required to pay 45,000 rupees, and 5,000 should be transferred to the seller by Amazon. But supposedly, when I am purchasing, there is already a pre-existing contract between my seller and Amazon that you have to sell the goods at 45,000 basic price. And as a purchaser, I am not knowing that there is any pre-existing contract between my seller and Amazon. And I am being offered for the goods at 45,000 rupees. In that case, for that 5,000 rupees, in my opinion, there has to be a separate invoice being raised to Amazon, because as a purchaser, I cannot be asked to pay tax on more value of which I am not aware that what is the contract being entered between the seller and Amazon.
So we need to again go for the facts of the case again properly.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Sir, if we go by the definition of 231, there is one word, any other person, but it does not include central and state government. Can it be read like that? Person, every person excluding state and central government, supplier, or any person, but any person will not include supply that central or state government. If you study like that.
No, but they are not included, but they are only excluding the nature. They are not excluding central and state government. They are only excluding the nature of consideration being paid by central or state government. They are not. If that would have been the case, then any amount being received from central or state government towards the supply being made by them would have been excluded from consideration.
But only subsidy is excluded. Not,
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Just
not
to buttress Arpit's point, in the old regime, in the CST and sales tax regime, the dispute precisely arose on whether when the principal is going to pass on some discount and it is ultimately passed on to the retailer, whether it would be treated as a sale, an additional consideration for the sale which is made by the principal to the retailer. There's a decision of the Madhya Pradesh High Court, if I recollect, in the case of Rita Sales Corporation, where the MP High Court had very categorically stated that once the recipient is not aware of the consideration which is passed on by the principal, there is no contract between the final purchaser and the original supplier or the original principal, then the discount which is passed on by the original principal cannot be treated as a consideration for the sale which is made by the distributor or the dealer to the ultimate consumer. I think that principle would also continue to be applicable. So in our example of 45,000, I think once there is a sale of 45,000, the final recipient is not even aware of what kind of discount is flowing or why the price is made at 45 or 44 or 46. So to the final customer, I don't think the price should be 50,000 in any scenario. To the extent of 5,000 which is passed on by Amazon or TML in this example, I think this is an industry issue which is dating back right to the subvention days. So subvention was a common principle for the purpose of deduction under the service tax law, there's a lot of dispute on how the subvention income is to be treated. Is it a condition of the contract, or is it going to be a separate consideration or not? So I think that's a much debatable point in terms of how this transaction is to be viewed.
Sir, for that 5,000 rupees, which is given by Amazon, can a view not be taken that it will fit into section 15(2)(e), sir? That the subsidies directly linked to price, excluding the subsidies provided by the government. Even though the customer is not aware that Amazon is giving rupees 5,000, but can it be added in the value of supply by virtue of 15(2)(e)?
Yes, we are adding it to the value of supply, but the question is to whom the invoice is to be raised for 5,000 rupees.
There's no privity of contract. Subsidy also requires that the recipient should be aware. Your recipient is not even aware of what the transaction is.
Sir, if it is an addition to the value of supply, yeah, I mean, then the invoice has to be raised on the customer only, right? Because there is only one supply which is being made, and this is an addition to that supply. If it is an addition to the value of supply.
So circular 105 in para 4 specifically stated that for that 5,000 rupees, the invoice has to be raised in our example to Amazon, and Amazon would be able to claim ITC to the extent tax. See, circular 105 was not withdrawn because para 4 entirely was incorrect. It was withdrawn because to the extent the amount was flowing from the original equipment manufacturer, to that extent para 4 was incorrect. And secondly, what is the scope of activities being carried out at the direction of the principal, or for any what should be the scope of the activities being carried out at the direction of the principal? What would be scope of that term? These were the two precise for withdrawal of circular number 105.
In the definition of consideration also, when they say any other person, the any other person has to be privy to the recipient.
Yes.
One cannot identify independently. If the third party has having no access to the transaction is making a payment,
No,
that
here,
cannot be added to the value of the consideration. I think.
no, Rahulji, here the issue is that who is offering the discount? Amazon is saying in his big $1 billion sale that for this particular retailer, I am going to give you this discount. So the commitment is flowing from Amazon or Flipkart or whoever the e-commerce operator is. So they are privy to the entire contract. And
Arupji, that is only a marketing gimmick. There is no privity as such which can exist.
No, but they're getting into, yeah.
Hello,
Yeah,
sir.
Unniji saying
this-
the buzzer, it's 10 o'clock. Sorry, I also didn't realize. So just one second, Rajiv ji. So Arpit ji, do we continue this in the next session? Because it's already 10. I didn't realize.
We will continue it in the next session.
I didn't realize actually. So only ji has put in the buzzer. So Rajiv ji and Rahul ji, I think we have some discussions to carry forward. So we'll take this forward in the next session, in the next SMS, which is
just
on
one thing, sir. Arpit, just one thing.
Arupda, just one point. Gaurav here from the bus.
Yeah, Gaurav ji.
Yeah. In addition to what Arpit ji said, like when the customer has to be billed at net 45 and not at 50, what will also happen further is that if he is billed at 50 and is only paying 45, there will be a question mark on the ITC of 5,000. Pertaining to the 5,000 also will arise at the customer's end, if that is a treatment that we take.
No, but here the challenge, the issue with, if you are talking about the e-commerce operator, the issue is that it's mostly B2C, so इसलिए वो problem नहीं आता है about the ITC aspect.
Listen, I agree. General e-commerce
generally, that's the issue.
ये अगर stance लिया तो गलत हो जाएगा पूरा.
That's it.
Sir, sir, one small thing, sir, Arup sir. So what Arpit sir has told regarding that any other person does not include the principal supplier. That could have been the reason, because in this circular 105 also this point was been taken care of in that amended agenda. The thing is, in the principal supplier, since here the tax was already borne there, and since it was given as a secondary discount without GST, so that is the reason why they have not included in that any other person. That could have been the contention, that to protect our client from that 15(2)(e).
Right.
Yeah. What I would like to add is that this was precisely.
So RPG, Arpit, your final concluding
Yes,
remarks,
yes.
because we
Yes,
actually
yes.
got 3
Arpiji,
minutes.
just
Yes,
one
yes.
point. Hello, Arpiji.
Yes, yes.
If you could consider when we off this after this meeting, whether privity of contract is required for the provider of consideration, because the principle holds ground that a stranger to a contract can provide the consideration. I send you the bouquet, I can pay. But who is the buyer, who is the seller, that is a separate thing. But consideration can flow from anything. And when we are talking of consideration, then in any case, it should come under the purview of 15. And in any case, it should go to the original supply only. How we can divide this consideration in two supplies? One consideration for two supplies.
Rajiv
If
ji,
it
I
is
have
valid.
noted the question, so we'll put it in the admin
Yes.
group, and then maybe Arpit will frame the question and put it in the faculty group. So I think
Yes,
with this,
yes.
we'll have to close, because many members have actually shared that they join SMS because we start on time and end on time. So I would not like to keep, them like, because they join here because they know that they'll get free by 10 o'clock. So already 10:05. So Arpit ji, your final remarks, and I'm offering the vote of thanks in advance. Thank you so much for the session, and thanks to all the participants.
Thank you.
Over to Arpit.
Thank you, Arup-ji. What the discussion which we had on any other person and the recipient, that was precisely the reason that in the first session in the last week, I specifically discussed about a pre-existing contract and whether at all the amount being paid by the manufacturer to the dealer, where there is a pre-existing supply, was treated as a separate activity in the pre-GST regime, because the principle on which this circular has been withdrawn is coming from that principle which we discussed in the earlier session, and that's how we would be going forward in the next session also, because there are many situations which I have narrated, and like the decision which came for discussion from Madhya Pradesh High Court. This is the discussion which we need to have there, wherein fresh set of decisions which are not in the domain of knowledge of other members are shared by the members, and on the basis of that collective wisdom, we can form or enhance the quality and the content of a reply. So thanking the members once again for joining in, and looking forward for another enriching session on discounts and incentives in the next SMS. Thank you very much all for your participation and discussion.
Thank you,
Thank you, sir.
everyone, and have a wonderful weekend ahead. Thank you so much. Thank you,
Thank you,
Amiji.
sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone. Yes.